All right, good afternoon. Happy Tuesday out there. Suck it up Tuesday in my world. It's Catching Up with Tommy Mac right here in the 1010XL podcast studios, 1010XL.com, the 1010XL app, all over social media, all over YouTube, live on Facebook. Good morning, Facebook, and brought to you by my good friends at Team Tommy Mac. You see J-Dog, they're the best. All of them are the best in their respective fields. They're always there when you need them. Check them out at TommyMac.net. Schedule's a little different now that I am Monday through Friday, 2 to 4 p.m., co-hosting with the lovely ladies of Helmets and Heels. And I'm going to be doing the podcast right around noontime, I think. On Fridays, I'm still going to do Jaguars today. And then I'll jump into the podcast room right here. And then I'll go get something to eat. And I'll come back and be ready for 2 to 4. It's a different audience, so it's all good. We're going to have a good time. And this podcast on Tuesday, I think it'll be trying to get here almost every time. And then, go get something to eat. I brought something, but go hang out for a little bit and then come back and be ready to rock for a couple hours. All right, lots to get into today. I didn't bring my reader, so if I squint, I apologize. I got a lot of notes, some that I'm going to be using during the radio as well, because we're going to look at the linebacker position. I will save that. Greg Rosenthal from NFL Media, he comes out with an article about Trevor Lawrence, and I'm paraphrasing and I'm shortening it. It was a pretty long article. Trevor doesn't study enough. Listen, we have heard that. I mean, we've heard that locally. I have heard that locally for a couple of years now, if not longer. And it wasn't, and everyone jumps on, he doesn't, no, it's not that. He works very hard in the facility. He does. He's putting all the effort in. Nobody's questioning any of that. I think it's when he leaves the facility. Is he still studying? Is he still watching film? Is he still trying to do everything he can to be that quarterback that we all need him to be? Those whispers have been going on for a couple of years, whether you like to hear it or not. No, I'm not going to tell you who told me. I never would do that. But very respectable people within our market, and that's all I'm going to say. And look, you can look at, I did some research, not research, I was just trying to get some data for all you stat nerds out there. And look, you probably won't like these because they don't really validate when you say, no, it's this, it's everything else but Trevor. And look, there's validation to that. The line hasn't been great all the time, although I think they got a little worse of a rap than they actually were. The running game hasn't been good. Drops have been a problem. I get it. Off communication's been a problem. But also you can look at the inconsistent. Deny that. And you can give me every reason you want or excuse or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's been inconsistent. He even said, on a podcast, he's like, yeah, it's my 5th year, man. We got to turn up. I got to turn it up. And it's good. Listen, I'm pulling for the kid. I want him to kick ass. I want him to be incredible. I want him to be this great quarterback that just takes our team right into the playoffs and smashes it down somebody's throat. And when it comes to Trevor, but you look, and I'm not a big stat guy. I'm only bringing these up because they're there and they're pretty with ESPN. Okay, these are all ESPN stats: QBR and rating. Right. So. Rating is everything passing, right? And I know all you nerds out there, yeah, I know this already. I know. I didn't know I knew what QBR was, but not entirely. So QB is basically overall how much the QB affects the game. And that's passing, that's rushing, that's turnovers, that's who he's going against. Does he lead him back from, being behind? All these things you get factored in. So these experts say, 100 and above for passer rating, just the passing, is average. It's not special, it's average, which is fine. It's for all the QBs. And QBR 75 and up is excellent, okay? So if we go by those, 2022 was great. He was really good, and the team was pretty good. The running game, what's the matter, Florida? You don't like what I'm talking about? The running game was pretty good. Rating a 95.2, QBR 56.1. He had eight games with an over 100 rating in 2022. He had 7 in 2023, 3 in 2024. Granted, he had less games in 2024, only 10 games. So he's been like, you compare him, and then I went to Lamar Jackson and look at his. He's high. 119 last year, 77.3. Nobody's 75. Well, I should say that. Josh Evans, 56.9, 59.5 in 2020. Receiving votes. By the way, no offensive tackles were either. No inside offensive linemen were either for our team. Now, what does that mean? Nothing until we start playing. But it's a little concerning. They had 26 interior offensive linemen named, and we had 0. Even the new guys that we brought in, 0. Thought McCarry would be there. I thought he was considered, 3, I guess. That was that. And it's only about 8 or 9. Good. He deserves it. I'm going to compare him to other linebackers in the helmets, and he'll show a little. Trev, listen, it's this lack of consistency. But then it's funny because the team, their PR, they put out this video, and they're like, "Well, who's the film junkie?" And Cam Little, the kicker's like, "Oh, it's QB1. It's Trevor." That guy watches so much film. I'm sitting there going, kickers and quarterbacks don't watch film together. Maybe he goes over to his house and they watch film. I don't know. Kickers don't watch that much film. They watch film of themselves. Might watch film of other kickers. Other than that, I don't know how much film they're watching. Most teams do the same stuff when you're rushing a kick. So I found that puff piece to be funny. Got Antonio. Listen, I love it. I hope Antonio Johnson works out. But he's one of the safeties last year that every offensive coordinator seemed to pick on. Savage, Cisco, Tonio, it didn't matter who was out there. They all got picked on. And they all felt it. It felt like what? They weren't prepared. How many times would I come on here and there are mistakes on defense? Mistakes in coverage. Not knowing your coverage. Okay, so not knowing your coverage means what? 2 things. Right? And one, if it's that you can't learn, you wouldn't be out there. So I'm going to take that one out. The other one's you're not studying it enough. You're not studying it all. Now, you hear Travis Etienne, now we're film junkies. Well, yeah, you need to be a film junkie. Brian Thomas says, in here, meaning at the facility, it's the quarterback. But overall, I'm in that conversation, who watches the most film. Listen, we know that. I'm telling you, the last 2 years have been all attitude, which meant what? Not prepared enough. They weren't. Too many mistakes to say they were. And look, you can look at Trevor and be like, what are his mistakes? The first one that comes to my mind is that backside safety. He always seems to miss. I don't know why. Just seems to be that way. Can he clean that up? I like him in the middle. And I'm not going to go over again all the good things I say about him. I say a ton. I hope he gets it done. But no QBs, no tackles. I hope that doesn't come back to bite him in the ass, man. I really don't. You got to keep Trevor clean, man. You want to tackle, especially on the left side, his blind side, to be able to handle that end all by himself. You need that to happen. And I don't think you're going to get that if it's Walker Little. Now, I don't know, Fred. I know he gave up sacks last year. Sometimes that could be, just getting beat, misled, whatever. I didn't see every sack that he gave up, but he gave up quite a bit, 7 or 8. So I don't know if he's the answer. We didn't draft an answer. We went bold with Travis, and that's great. That's great. But if our O-line don't hold up, Van Lannon could play both. Maybe he could jump. He's a scrapper. I know that. That guy, listen, he held his own at right tackle. I think he can play guard, but I don't think you need him. They've been playing him a little bit on left, a little bit on right in camp, or at least in the off season. But you got to solidify that. And if you don't, then you got to leave somebody in to help him out. Or you always got to slide that way. Not always, but a lot of the time. It doesn't take you out of, it takes you out of your natural passing attack, which you want. You want that back to release freely, right? You don't want to have that tight end stay in and block. You want him out. You want my 5 guys to handle whatever's coming. In the back, if he's got to pick up the blitzer, right? So, and again, no interior. Out of 26 guys, what did I say, 8 or 9 starting lineups that would be, right? The 2 centers and a guard. And it seems like these lists, like the tackles, there's bookends. Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt for the Chargers. Both Philly guys, Mayata and Lane Johnson. Both Detroit guys, Decker and Penei Sewell. They're there. Did I say Detroit? I did say Detroit. Tampa's in there. Luka Decky and Tristan Wirfs, who's number 1. Bills, Spencer Brown. Yeah, he's a tough one. And then Deion Dawkins, another one. I mean, these teams have them. We don't have that. We're not that. Now, can the right side, is Anton gonna want to? That's what the coach says, when he wants to. I think there was a lot of that the last 2 years. I really do, man. It just feels like it was across the board. I mean, I don't know what happened. You had a great year in 2022. You got so caught up in your own hype in the hype for 2023 and 2024 was so nauseating. It was coming from the team and not just the PR, from the players. I mean, they were breaking records. We're going to break records. We're going to do all this stuff. All bought into the hype train. Then you got smacked in the mouth, and then you couldn't figure it out. And then you went downhill from there. And then it was over because everybody checked out. Nobody cared. I think there was a lot of that. But it's going to change. It's going to change. It's going to change. New regime's going to change it all. And that'll be a good thing. But, hey, congrats to Foye. Look, Foye's really good, man. In my opinion, and I'm not going to give it away because I'm going to go on the air in a little bit, he's not the best middle linebacker in the AFC South, but he's really good. He may be 2. There's another guy I think's pretty close. And then there's one guy I think is above everybody. Now, with that being said, I don't think Foye Oluokun was used properly the last couple of years. He needs to blitz more. He can cover. He's a good cover guy. And he should be out there most of the time, unless Ventrell Miller can step it up even more and really cover, like for a dime backer. But right now, Foye's my best cover guy. And Miller's there, but I want to see Miller do it again. He kind of faded on us last year. I get it. It's a long season. It was tough out there. The interior D-line wasn't very good. So he's got to make sure he's fully engaged and fully ready. I think he will be. I'm interested to see Jack Kaiser, if he can do anything. McLeod, I don't know. I want to see him rush a passer. I think that's allegedly his forte, but that was Abdullah's forte as well. But that hasn't really come to fruition. Look around the league real quick. Garrett Wilson gets a $130 million extension, $90 million guaranteed. Brian Thomas Jr. woke up and said, yes. That guy's unbelievable. It's a good one-on-one. I'd still take Brian Thomas. I like Garrett Wilson. He's obviously very, very talented, very good. But I like our guy. I think our guy could be up there with the Chases of the world. I really do. Nanana McCong retires, 13 years. Hasn't played in a couple years, but officially he's done. What a great career. Remember him in Nebraska? Do you remember him? Man, he dominated like crazy. What was that? What bowl game was that? He was just kicking the crap out of everybody. He's had an awesome career. What a great, nice to be at top of the food chain and be able to play that long in the National Football League. Congratulations to him. Juwan Jennings wants a new deal with the 49ers after signing a 2-year deal before last season. Had a great year last year, 77 catches, almost 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, and allegedly only 1 drop. He wants a new deal. He's set to earn $7.5 million this year. I don't know. If I just signed you to a deal and he had a great year, great. I'm expecting that. Do I maybe give him a bump? I don't know, give him a bump if you want him. If not, I like that guy, number 15. He's tough. Big, and tall. Teddy Bridgewater suspended from his high school coaching spot at Miami Northeastern for giving impermissible benefits to his players. Uber rides, meals, and recovery services. This one, I don't know. First of all, he's a volunteer for the coach from what I've read. He's trying to help the kids out. Now, if he's using that to his advantage to recruit from outside the district, can you do that anymore? You know, the Catholic schools, the private schools could always do that, right? And I know today you can really manipulate, right? You can say you live in the town, but you really don't. As long as you're good at the sport, the school kind of look away from it. I want to see what happens to the school. I mean, Teddy said he let the school know all about it. So this one's a little weird. I don't get it. I have a feeling he'll be back. I know there's rules, there's strict rules, what have you. But I don't know. I don't want to see all those kids punished either if you punish the school, but something's weird in that one, in my opinion. And again, if it's just to help his team out, that's different than using that to, being able to recruit 3 counties away. Hey, I'll pay for your Uber ride, or I'll pay for some food, or whatever. I don't know. I'm not saying that's wrong either. I mean, you gotta build a team. And by the way, go back. I remember we had Catholic high schools wanting us to go to their school, and me and my 3 buddies, we went to the public school, but we were like, man, we're not getting on a bus for an hour to go to your school. Are you crazy? Never do that. Uber that gets us there in style and quicker, and we can stop off and get a bite to eat. Maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe I could make that work, especially if you're a really, really good team. Anyway, we'll see how that one shakes out. I like Teddy Bridgewater. I'm sure it's not, malicious. You know what I mean? Sounds like he was just helping out the kids, and now it's a big problem, they say. Somebody's got to pay for the school other than Teddy Bridgewater, in my case. Brought to you by Team Tommy Mac. Please check them out at TommyMac.net. They're always there when you need them. Always. Carberman Flooring, Morgan & Morgan, Crystal Sales Bail Bonds, J-Dog, Azar Sausage, Code Ninjas, Newmark Phoenix Realty Group, Salt Air Inn and Suites, Family Tradition Specialty Foods, home of Coconut Joe's Hot Sauces, and Freedom Finance, home of fractional CFO Courtney Myers, Freedom Finance. .LLC, of course, thanks to 1010XL. And please check out TommyMac.net. So, I guess, I don't know. I mean, look, the teams do these puff pieces. They do them. I can't say I always like them. I'm not a big hype. I bought into the hype. I really did, man. I thought 23 they were going to be really tough and really special. And then it all crumbled. And I think guys got head in the clouds. Maybe the coaches did too. I don't know why. You're halfway through the year. And then things started happening, injuries and just bad things and bad culture. And you thought maybe he'd come back strong at 24. And that wasn't the case. So really disappointing. And I know you fans are too. And then we forget about reset. I'm pretty much reset, I guess. I still have concerns. I don't care. Look, the top 10 is tough to crack. I don't like when we have nobody on the list. Now, Brian Thomas Jr. was an honorable mention, I believe, and he's really good. He'll get in the top 10, I think. Another strong year, he's in there. I think Eric Armstead will be a defensive tackle that'll be in the top 10. I think it'll take 1 year. I was shocked both our edges weren't in it. I would definitely throw one of them in there, top 10. The interior guys, that was a big problem last year. I think the whole offensive line. Was it, everyone wants to, it's funny, you think all of a sudden these tackles are just going to be great. They're not, I don't think they're going to be great, but they can be good enough. And that's all we need. Good enough to win with, right? They don't have to be top 10. It's a little concerning, though, that you don't see, like, honorable mention. Then you see others receiving votes, and you're like, it's deep. Not all of them. A couple of them had a couple of positions, like only 2 honorable mention, maybe 5, but, like, the interior offensive lineman had 26 total, so 10 plus 16. top 10 and then the honorable mention. And then they had a good bid, probably like eight or 10 in the receiving votes. And not having one guy in there, you're like, okay, well, let's see what a year does. And then we'll look at it next year. And we'll figure out, where they went, where they end up. But we've got to, look, again, I like being under the radar. That's fine by me. I don't care what other people think about my team. Especially if I'm a player still or a coach, I'm not, it doesn't matter. All that matters is what we believe. And as long as it's an honest critique of ourselves, and right now there's nothing, you're just critiquing effort or conditioning or technique or that kind of thing. You're not into the games yet. That'll come. But as long as that's honest, you can win a lot of ball games. In the National Football League. We did it back in the 90s. I know it's a different era, it's a different time, but we did. Nobody believed in us. They didn't think we were anything. We did. I can remember that 96 season when we started going win, and I was like, man, I think we can play with them. I know we were 16-point underdogs against Denver, but I wasn't like, wow, we're screwed. It wasn't like that at all. I was like, okay. I know Tommy Nalen, he was at Boston College, great center, one of the best in the game, And they had a great O-line. They had a great everything. But we just were like, screw it. So it can happen. And I think it will happen. I mean, look, I'm like I've been saying, I want to see this team in camp. I want to see it be a physical camp. I want to see the conditioning. I want to see the mental grit and the mental toughness that it takes to carry on throughout the entire year and into the playoffs and hopefully all the way to the Super Bowl. I want to see that kind of energy, that kind of attitude. And I think we're going to. I do. I think we're going to. Everything that they've said in the offseason, it appears that's the way it's going to be. There's going to be a lot of physicality, pushing people around, finishing blocks. I would expect some fisticuffs, and you don't want anybody getting hurt, but there will be because, look, I want my linemen pushing to the end. I don't want them knocking my guys down to the ground, but I don't want them stopping their feet until the whistle blows, right? I don't. I want you to finish. And as for my defense, I want you to stuff them right in the hole and shed them and then kill the running back. Not literally, but figuratively, if you know what I mean. So it's going to be a testy camp. It's going to be hot, and it's going to be great. And it's a new era, and we all should be excited. And I am. Look, I've got to give my concerns. That's what I do, but they can be changed quickly. They can just by how they start the regular season. I had them at 10-7 the first time the schedule came out. I dropped it to 8, I think. I haven't done that officially, like on paper, but I feel like double the wins is more realistic. But anything can happen. I mean, think about it. And it's how you finish. So say 8 wins is it, but what if I rip off the last 4 games to win? You know what I mean? Win the last 4 in a row, and I finish 8-9. Or last 5 in a row, and I finish 9-8, and I just missed the playoffs, or whatever the case may be. And anything can happen once you get on that run. So I do think, look, I'd like for the team to start fast. I don't know if that's realistic either. But again, like I said yesterday on Helmets and Heels, we have the upper hand on offense because nobody's going to really know what we're throwing at them. They're going to have educated guesses. They're going to look at Tampa's offense last year. They're going to look at Trevor and what he did and how teams defended him and how they had success or didn't have success. And then they're going to try to, visualize that and give educated guesses. Okay, this is what they're most likely going to do. But at the end of the day, they don't know what they're going to do because they haven't seen it yet. They haven't seen this is a whole new offensive line with a whole new blocking scheme and a new running game, philosophically. It's adding the speed. I'm telling you, the 3 receiver speed is going to be very difficult to stop. And I'm looking forward to that. Got to give Trevor time and keep him in the pocket. And so he can make those throws. He's very capable of making them all, especially downfield and especially between the numbers. He can do it on the outside down the field pretty well. Don't get me wrong. Little short intermediate, for some reason, not so much. But down the middle and a little bit outside, he's better down the middle, but deep outside, he's okay. And he's made plenty of throws in that area. And on the dime, on the money. But you better keep him clean. And again, you can't fix everything in 1 year. And I understand why they're just saying, okay, we're just going to go with what we have. And we'll bring in some vet guys to push them. But they're going to be our guys for now. And then if it doesn't work out, guaranteed, next year, offensive line will be a priority. It will be. I would have looked, and again, I haven't seen Travis, and maybe that'll change my mind, but I would have loved a Josh Simmons here. Someone like that. I maybe not grab the top guys that were at the draft in the beginning of the draft. We'll see how they shake down. But even if you didn't, if you just had a Josh, if you had somebody on the team that gave you, upside. Is there upside in Walker Little's game anymore? Is there? Maybe, right? If he has that attitude and finishing blocks and really getting after it, yeah. He's got all the physical tools. Is that another want-to guy? I know they say he's consistent. I think he's a gym rat. I think he likes to work out. I think he likes to, practice and all that. I'm sure he loves playing in games. But he needs that little extra fire to be that left tackle where I don't have to worry about it. I think he's got the athletic ability, the feet, the hands. Doesn't have to dip his head to get that power. He can stand upright. And then the right tackle, that's going to be a battle now. Anton, I think, is on notice based on what Liam said about if he wants to. It's a want-to thing. I think Chuma Edoga is really going to give him a run for his money. And I think they want him to. I think they do. So that'll be a great battle. But it's going to come down to that. Defensively, I feel pretty good about overall. I want to see more. But offensively, it's all going to come down to the offensive line. And then Trevor just being more accurate. That's all he's got to do. He's just got to clean. It's not drastic. The only thing really drastic is really knowing the field, right? Knowing where you're at on the field. I'll give you an example. Okay, this bothered me last year. It was last year. It was against Green Bay. No, it was against Philly when Johnson ran the wheel route on first down, fourth quarter, minute 30 or whatever to go. And he's absolutely smothered in coverage. Nakobe Dean, I think it was, the linebacker. I mean, he's not even on his hip. Now, if he was on his hip, like behind him, like if this was Dean and this is Johnson, then, yeah, I get it. You would throw it out in front of him, he's got a chance. It wasn't. They were even, which means he's covered. And unless you've done a bunch of jump balls, he's covered. And it's first down. But he throws it anyway. He forces it anyway. Fourth year in the league, driving down, game on the line, it's first down, minute 30 to go, and he forces a throw. The first thing Doug says, and I know y'all blame Doug on that one because he called it. You don't have to throw it just because he called it. He looks at me and says, why? Like, why did you have to force that throw? That's a thought process that happens in the first year, not in the fourth year. You already know to live another down. He's covered. I'm looking elsewhere. He's covered. It's not, hey, Brian Thomas Jr. running down the side of and the guy, they're right neck and neck. Yeah, I'm going to throw it up to him. He does it. The running back doesn't do that. So just that whole thought process of like, yeah, I got to force it. I'm going to take off and run. I'm going to throw it away. I'm going to live another down. I'm going to look maybe real quick to see if anybody's open. I'm not going to throw it against the field, against across the middle, that kind of thing. So there was more than that. There was another, I remember that drove me, I forget, maybe it was Baltimore, it was 3rd and 2, quick out by back. I think it was 29. He's open, he just overshoots him. And I'm like, nobody's bothering you. Like, you just got to give it to him. There were too many of those throws. And those, to me, are routine throws. So, yeah, he'll make those tremendous, wow, like, holy cow, that's incredible, without a doubt. But then he misses those things that I'm talking about. Those are just a couple. The backside safety, how many times does that happen? That you can remember right off the bat, right? Justin Simmons in Denver, that was in London. That was, 2 years ago. There was one in practice. Dewey did it in practice. And there was one or two last year. The one in Green Bay, that to the safety, that wasn't his fault. Those receivers, and in his defense with that play call, that one play that it was always like most of the time they were on opposite sides of the formation. This guy goes deep, runs off the safety. This guy does a deep cross, and he's open at the end of the cross pattern. But if you don't run off the safety's just sitting there, and the timing was way off. Nobody ran off shit. Safety's sitting there, and he just threw it to a spot like he's supposed to, and they're not there. Safety's there. Pick. It looks terrible, but really, maybe you should have thrown it, but you're throwing that on timing. You know what I mean? Like that, you're expecting that to happen at a certain time. But if you don't run off the safety, and they did that a ton. The receivers did. So what is that? All right, back to doesn't study enough. It ain't just 16. And we're turning the page. We're going to turn the page after this one because I have a feeling they are. I think there's a whole new attitude. I think there is, and we need to. But those kind of mistakes, not running the right routes, what is that? What would you chalk that up to be? My receivers don't run the route. And I'm talking about last year. They don't run the right routes every single time. How come? How come? Do they not practice it? You got to believe they practice on the field. You would think. Yeah. The answer is yes. Okay. Are they studying it till they know I know it no matter what? Questionable. I say the same for the safeties. I say the same for Devin Lloyd in pass coverage. I'll say the same for the running backs hitting the hole at the right time. I'll say the same thing for number 16. He's not immune to that. And that seemed like a team-wide thing. Okay? All right. So that's enough of that. Nobody wants this team to win more than me. You may want to win as much as me. I can't say that I'm the one that wants them to win the most. No. But nobody wants them to win more than me. But I'm not just going to sugarcoat everything to make everybody feel better. It's just not what I do, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it here. I'm not going to do it on the radio. But I am going to praise when they do well. And I've done that many, many times. And I know some of you out there, you like to take little quips of what I say and make it sound so bad. I'm so hard on Trevor. I'm so this and all this crap. And you don't listen or even put out the whole thing out there. I've said it many times that you can win with him, and he's got all the talent in the world. He's got to clean up the mental. That's what makes him inconsistent. It ain't physical. Right? We can agree that he's been inconsistent. What makes him inconsistent? It's not the physical. It's not the toughness. It's not the physical. What is it then? Well, what else is left? His heart is there. What's left? The mind. Is he doing everything he can? I think he is now. And now I know the piece, the puff piece. Oh, we're all film junkies now. Good. You should have been film junkies every year. It's what it takes to be successful in this league. There's no doubt about it. All right, that's going to do it for me this time around. Catching up with Tommy Mack. It'll continue every Tuesday and every Friday, right around noontime. I'm going to get in here on Tuesdays around noon, and then Friday in between Jaguars Today, and then 2 to 4 on Helmets and Heels. I'll bring you Catching Up with Tommy Mack. We'll talk all Jags all the time. NFL, we'll throw in that, of course. Talk a little team Tommy Mack. And, man, we'll just cheer this team on into victory, hopefully, because there ain't nothing better in this town when our Jaguars are winning. Till next time, stay safe, be cool, and stay safe. We'll see you right here on Catching Up with Tommy Mack. Peace. Have a great day. Hey, Tom McManus here with the Catching Up with Tommy Mack podcast on the 1010XL podcast platform. Catch it on the 1010XL app. Catch it on 1010XL.com. You can also catch it on the 1010XL Jaguars channel on YouTube. Hey, man, it's always straight from the heart, straight from the gut, all ball, all Jags, all NFL coming your way each and every week, twice a week on Catching Up with Tommy Mack. We'll see you there.